Welcome in to News and Views with Tom Lamprecht. The stories you've heard and the ones you need to hear.
One fact that we do know, American taxpayer dollars actually went to the Wuhan lab.
The vaccine will be approved for these young children. I would tell those parents that are hesitant to talk to their pediatricians.
Mitch McConnell has it right. An infrastructure package shouldn't be more than $600 to $800 billion.
Your life, your values, your voice. This is News and Views with Tom Lamprecht on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
All right, welcome in. It is News and Views for a Tuesday. So have you filled up yet? How is it out there? I was by a couple of gas stations yesterday evening, and they were full. I wouldn't say they were long lines. You know, here's something to ponder, though. A pipeline is hackable, but a voting machine is not. A pipeline is hackable. Okay. But you can't hack a voting machine. Fox News is reporting fuel shortages have widened across the East Coast as consumers continue to panic buy. The 5,500-mile pipeline system transports more than 100 million gallons of gasoline, diesel fuel, jet fuel, and heating oil per day. Roughly 45% of fuel consumed on the eastern seaboard between the Gulf Coast and the New York metro area. Colonial Pipeline said on Monday that it's aiming to substantially restore its system by the end of the week. Apparently, there are some overrides, some manual overrides that have already taken place. The company said that the pipe that runs between Greensboro to Woodbine, Maryland, line number 4, is now operating under manual control for a limited time period while existing inventory is available. So it sounds like, if I'm connecting the dots, that the main pipeline is still down, but some of these ancillary pipelines are running as long as there is fuel to pump out. But eventually, if the main pipeline's not up, then the ancillary lines will have nothing to pump. Colonial is saying that everything will be back and up and running by the end of the week. We'll see. North Carolina, about 7.5% of North Carolina fuel stations are experiencing gasoline outages, according to Gas Buddy. Yesterday, Roy Cooper issued a state of emergency. Oh, he likes those, doesn't he? Suspending motor vehicle fuel regulations to ensure adequate fuel supplies throughout the state. The emergency declaration will help North Carolina prepare any potential motor vehicle fuel supply interruptions across the state and ensure motorists are able to access fuel, Cooper said in a statement. If the fuel's not there, Gov, I don't know how you're going to make it work by declaring a state of emergency, but go for it. News and Observer is reporting that economists say there's no worry. The gas shortages will soon be over, but the reason why stations are running out of fuel is because of panic buying. They're only making things worse. Any shortages seen at individual gas stations are a result of people panic buying, not the pipeline shutdown. This, according to Tiffany Wright, a spokesperson for AAA Carolinas. That's what she told the Asheville Citizen-Times. So, if you want to believe all, I'm just taking their word for it. If you want to believe all that, then go ahead and plan a trip for this weekend. If not, stay home. North Carolina parents could see another round of money from their government this year. A preliminary House bill draft on Monday shows a plan to give North Carolina parents $1,000 to $3,000 to spend on future costs to help their school-age kids avoid learning loss as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. Well, I don't know if it's the pandemic or just overzealous authoritarian governor and aides. The bill was filed as House Bill 934 today. The bill draft label Student Success Program states that the General Assembly would direct the Department of Public Instruction to contact the State Education Assistance Authority to establish and administer a program that allows parents of eligible children to use federal funds intended to mitigate the negative impacts of COVID-19 towards allowable educational uses of their choice to address student learning loss, provide summer learning or enrichment, and provide comprehensive after-school programs. The grants would be $1,000 per child, a maximum grant of $3,000 per household. The money would be available no later than August the 16th. The time frame to spend the money would be by September 1st, 2022. An eligible child means a child of elementary, middle, or high school age who lives in North Carolina and is eligible to attend a North Carolina public school. The bill draft proposes that money could be directly spent on participation in summer enrichment programs, tutoring, textbooks, therapies for students with disabilities, and fees for assessments and exams. The program could use as much as $170 million in federal American Rescue Plan funds. My only question on this is, okay, how are you going to ensure that this money is used for educational purposes? I mean, if you're just sending a check, I guarantee, even if you have all kinds of therefore and what now and thereas and whatnots in this legislation, if you're just sending out a check, there is going to be a lot of families that think we've hit the jackpot once again. And I guarantee you there will be a lot of families who spend this on, unless you somehow have the ability to force that these checks that go out have to be spent for the child's education, they're going to be spent on a whole lot of other things. You don't have to be a brain surgeon to figure this one out. Sorry. We'll see where this goes, but it sounds like more money from your government, which somebody, sometime, somewhere is going to have to pay back. North Carolina lawmakers could ban public schools from using lessons that advocate the U.S. is racist or sexist or is created to oppress members of another race or sex. The North Carolina House Education Committee backed a new bill unveiled today that prohibits schools from promoting concepts such as the U.S. being racist and that people are inherently racist or sexist, whether consciously or unconsciously. The legislation comes after backlash over the state's newly adopted K-12 social studies standards and a fear from conservatives that schools are painting white people as being racist and sexist. Well, they are. Critical race theory is alive and well in North Carolina schools. They are. It ensures dignity and non-discrimination in schools, said John Torbett, a Gaston County Republican and co-chairman of the Education Committee. But Representative James Gilliard, a Nash County Democrat, called it an anti-education bill. He talked about growing up biracial and said the bill would hide the nation's injustices. This is an act to ensure discrimination, fanaticism, bigotry, he said. This is really a don't hurt my feelings bill. Don't tell me the truth about our history because it may hurt my feelings. Critical race theory, first of all, it's a Marxist program. But secondly, it does paint a certain race in a negative light. And if critical race theory was reversed, and perhaps it has been in the past in our history, where you would paint a certain race, I mean, if you were to take the African Americans, take the black race and paint them the way critical race theory paints whites, especially white males, we'd be up in arms as we should be. House Bill 324 will be voted on Wednesday by the full House Lawmakers took an unrelated charter school bill and turned it into a new bill on Tuesday. Conservative concerns have escalated since the Board of Education's Democratic majority in February adopted new social studies standards that include such language as having teachers discuss racism, discrimination, and the perspectives of marginalized groups. That's code speak for critical race theory. By the way, there's John Hood wrote a great op-ed in the Carolina Journal, came out yesterday. This is worth a read since we're on the subject. John Hood writing, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, American of Filipino descent had a median household income of just over $100,000 in 2019. The median household income of white Americans that year was about $66,000. Based on these two facts, we should conclude that our society is pervasively biased in favor of Filipino immigrants, or of Americans whose ancestors once immigrated from the Philippines. Should we draw the same conclusion about Americans with ties to India? Their median household income is $136,000, or China at $85,000, or Nigeria at $69,000. No, we shouldn't. That would be an exercise in bad math and faulty logic. Differences in household incomes or other measurings amongst ethnic groups have many potential explanations. Cultures, traditions, family structures, they vary. Educational levels and labor force participation rates vary. Settlement patterns vary. Preferences vary. Work ethics vary. If you agree, then you likely don't agree with a key tenet of critical race theory. Pieced together in the 1980s and 1990s out of strands of Marxism and postmodern thought, critical race theory seeks to explain gaps in income, wealth, education attainment, and other measures as primarily the product of discriminatory social structures rather than individual choices. Its parent idea, critical theory, was concocted by Marxist intellectuals of the mid-20th century in the aftermath of disillusionment with revolutionary socialism as actually practiced behind the Iron Curtain. Some scholars and activists began applying their new idea to the judicial system, yielding critical legal studies. Others concluded that prior Marxist analysis had focused too much on class at the expense of other structures of oppression, devising critical race theory, and even more narrow, not only as an approach to radical scholarship, but also as a guide to racial political action. Remember, too, communism, Marxism comes in, and they always want to find the bad guy. They always want to find the fall guy, and they want to rally the troops around an individual or either a person or a group of people or a cause. I mean, that's why communism loves unions. Let's all gather together and let's all gang up on this particular issue. Corporations are bad. In this case, critical race theory, white people are bad. What does all this have to do with public policy conversations in North Carolina? Plenty, unfortunately, John Hood writes. Do you believe in diversity, equality, and inclusion? So do I, he writes, at least when the terms are properly defined. Surrounding yourself with people of differing views and backgrounds is often good for you. It can make organizations and teams stronger. People ought to be treated fairly if they shouldn't be discriminated against based on race, ethnicity, or other characteristics that have nothing to do with performing a job well. These beliefs are, alas, not what the current diversity, equity, and inclusion movement is all about. Much of it is just about critical race theory and sometimes ruthlessly applied to workplace, government, philanthropy, and the social sector. It assumes statistical disparities must be the product of discriminatory practices and attitudes deeply embedded in our social structures. Therefore, it embraces the use of discriminatory practices and attitudes as the only proper response. If disparities of outcomes are a sufficient proof of systemic racism and other forms of structural oppression, then the only way to know if the oppression has been dismantled would be for those disparities to go away. The logical goal must be an equality of results, not just an equality of opportunity. If that requires ongoing discrimination against privileged groups, i.e. white males, racial and ethnic preferences in hiring, contracting, and higher education, for example, so be it. That's what the proponents of critical race theory would say. John Hood goes on to say it's all utter nonsense. It's based on simplistic and easily discredited analysis and employs crude tools such as implicit bias, tests that are both methodologically unsound and highly destructive of real human relationships. John goes on to say, I'd pay little attention to critical race theories if they confined their nonsense to scarcely read journals and sparsely attended classes. In a free society, we all have an equal right to be wrong, very wrong. But critical race theory has now spread far beyond the cloister. Its advocates seek to transform corporate governance, our justice system, and the curriculum of our public schools. Its assumptions are incompatible with freedom, liberal education, and equality under the law. Those assumptions must be fully revealed, clearly understood, and relentlessly opposed. Well written, John Hood. And this is exactly why lawmakers are working on this House Bill 324 to put the brakes on critical race theory that is indeed alive and well and being promoted and being pushed into our public school systems. By the way, First and Freedom yesterday reported that in New Hanover County, more and more parents and community leaders are recognizing the scourge of woke indoctrination in public schools. And there is basically a pushback. It's called fightforourchildren.org. And if you're listening down in the New Hanover County area, you might want to look this up and be a part of it. Fightforourchildren.org is a group of very concerned citizens, and they're saying we can't do this alone. For us to be successful to push back on critical race theory, we need to get together. And God bless them for doing this. Again, if you want to find out more, go to fightforourchildren.org. We've got to take a time out. Stay with us. Much more to talk about. Love to hear from you. 561-8255. More news and views coming right up.
And we're on location for one of my favorite places in the whole planet because this is some of the best food you're ever going to eat in your life. We are at Nino's on Red Banks Road in Greenville. It's one of my hangouts. It's one of the places that I love. I got my friend Pietro Pasalacqua. How'd I do?
You did great.
Let's talk about the food. What makes this place? I know it's special Italian from authentic Italians, but tell us why it's so special.
Because everything we do, it's really what we came up on the menu from what we did at home, from my grandparents, my parents. So it's exactly what we eat at home, and that's the way we cook. That's why it's special.
And the atmosphere in this place is special also. From the bar to the two dining areas. You got two different dining areas, and now the weather's nice, so there's going to be a lot of folks that want to eat outside.
Yeah, we have two rooms. One room is designed a little different. We're also working on the patio to make it more attractive and more useful in the summer with a cocktail service. And we're always improving our services.
And, of course, my friends here, my buddy, Chef Massimo, who I love, and Sal and Pietro, you guys do a great job here. Not just Italian, but I had a great pork chop here the other night. You got great steaks, too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we're also adding filet mignon in the future on our menu. And Massimo is coming out with a really good side dishes for it. And so we're really excited to come out with new meats and fish dishes.
All right, Nino's on Red Banks Road in Greenville. Same people that give you Maribella's and the great pizza that you get at Maribella's, but this is fine dining at Nino's. If you haven't been here, you don't know what you're missing. Come see them at Nino's on Red Banks Road. And Pietro, what is that famous saying about Nino's?
The food that you enjoy with people that you love.
Top Dog Academy is Eastern North Carolina's complete dog training facility. Top Dog provides an excellent environment for dogs of all ages with training services and work week daycare. Top Dog is located on Highway 43 South, just 4 miles from Bells Fork, and features a comfortable, healthy environment and a spacious facility for daycare and a brand new, beautiful facility for training. Call 752-8215 or visit TopDogOnline.com.
Come on out Highway 43 South to Top Dog Academy, where we know dogs.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast. Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern living's best small town.
Back to the show that really makes you think.
He is a genius.
He's all powerful.
He brought a kind of heat.
He could be the best.
Just don't hurt yourself, okay? More news and views on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
Welcome back in. 26 minutes past the top of the hour. That John Hood op-ed, race theory is dangerous nonsense. Clark is putting it up on our ENC website, so go to ENC News and Views, and you can download the whole op-ed by John Hood. Very well written. Take a look at your weather forecast. Tonight, mostly cloudy, a low around 50. Tomorrow's high is only 55. It's going to be a little gusty out there as well, and a chance of rain, 50% chance of rain. Tomorrow night, mostly cloudy, cool again, a low around 45. Thursday starts to warm up, sunshine, a high near 69. And towards the end of the week and the weekend, we should be back in the 70s with lots of sunshine. Weather brought to you by our friends at the Ironwood Golf and Country Club, voted best golf course in Greenville 2 years in a row. Ironwood Golf and Country Club boasts an 18-hole Lee Trevino design course, full-service dining and outdoor pool, tennis, and more. Our newly renovated 15,000-square-foot clubhouse is the perfect place to make new traditions with your family. For a limited time, join Ironwood, pay zero initiation fee. Call 252-752-4653. Find out what makes Ironwood the best of Greenville. Again, that number, 252-752-4653. Be a part of the best Ironwood Golf and Country Club. There's all kinds of memberships, by the way, you can join. You can be a social member. You can be a you can join and do golf only. You can have a full membership. So call up and find out and be a part while you can still get in with no initiation fees. Again, that number, 252-752-4653. The News and Observer's reporting a committee in North Carolina Senate voted Monday to rewrite part of the state's law for police body camera and dash camera footage in an effort to increase transparency surrounding deadly incidents involving the police. The recent shooting of Andrew Brown in Elizabeth City made national news, reignited the debate once again. The changes proposed yesterday would keep the current system for making the public aware of the footage, allow the public to watch the footage, I should say. However, the change would allow family members or representatives of anyone killed or seriously injured by the police to watch the footage within 5 days of the incident. The family needs to know, said Toby Fitch, a Democrat from Wilson who is proposing the changes. Law enforcement would have the opportunity to object, saying they either shouldn't show the video at all or should redact parts of it, but the burden would be on law enforcement to prove that, rather than the burden falling on the family to make an argument for seeing the footage, as is currently the case. You know, I've done a lot of video work in my day, overseen a lot of video work, and say this. Now, again, I understand that what we're talking about here is unedited footage from the body camera that the police officer is wearing. All I would say, though, is you're not seeing the full picture. And when you don't see the full picture, there are certain things out of the picture that you're not aware of. And while you might think, okay, this is telling the full story, and I'm not taking sides here, either for the police or for the victim in a police shooting or a police confrontation, but it doesn't always tell the whole story. There might be times that it does, but if you know anything about video and pictures and And editing, and again, I know we're not talking about edited material here. We're talking about raw footage. But even then, you're only seeing what the camera saw. And there's a lot going on outside of the camera lens that you don't see. Is it telling the full story? This is why it's not released automatically. And I'm sure people think, oh, Lamprecht, you're defending the police officer. Not necessarily. I'm just saying that when it comes to video, there's stuff outside, away from the lens that you don't see, and you're not seeing the entire story. PJ Media, this is an interesting article. Talk about lapdogs. The White House is demanding that reporters get approval from the communications team before publishing quotes from any administration official. Prior approval of quotes is not unknown. The White House is demanding that the interviews be conducted on background with quote approval. Can you imagine if Donald Trump's White House would have done this? Where they say, you can't quote us unless we approve what the quote is. What's unbelievable about this is there's no pushback. The practice allows the White House an extra measure of control. This is from Politico. An extra measure of control as it tries to craft press coverage. And its best, quote, approval allows sources to speak more candidly about their work. And it's worse, it gives public officials a way to basically make obscure what was actually said. And look, do you think that has something to do with the fact that Joe Biden is always stumbling over his words? That Joe Biden is constantly coming out with things that make no sense? That Joe Biden says up is down and down is up, good is bad and bad is good? Does Joe Biden know where he is half the time? I guarantee you this is why they've come out with this. The Biden White House isn't the first to employ the practice. Many reporters say it's reminiscent of the tightly controlled Obama White House. Wow, imagine that. Reporters were a little better than megaphones for Obama's White House. Their excuse was that they have to write, and this is from Politico. This is not a conservative publication. Reporters were a little better than megaphones for the Obama White House. Their excuse was they have to write something every day, and they were constantly under deadline since they couldn't get the story without prior approval of the quotes. But as is often the case with the unwieldy White House press corps, there is a collective action problem. Reporters are reluctant to say no to using background with quote approval because it could put them at a disadvantage with their competitors. And there has not been, as of today, there has not been any pushback from the mainstream press. And of course, it doesn't really matter because the mainstream press, without even being told, just about everything they report, maybe with the exception of some of the reports concerning the border. Everything else that the mainstream press reports on is basically makes Joe Biden look good. And as Politico goes on to say, these people don't deserve First Amendment protections, although they will have it if it ever becomes necessary. They certainly don't deserve the title of journalist. They're PR flacks for the Biden White House. So Joe Biden, where he doesn't know half the time what he's saying or where he is, now the White House. What happened to freedom of speech? What happened to freedom of the press? So if you hear somebody say, apparently you can get a recording of the guy saying it or the gal saying it. And you got to get permission? Wow. 561-8255. Who do we have? Doug from New Bern. Hey, Doug, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you this beautiful evening, Tom?
We're doing all right. Good to hear from you.
You know, I listen to your show every single night driving home from work, and now you just hit on the topic tonight of now everything's got to be cleared and checked because of speech issues. It kind of sort of reminds me of the book Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand.
Right.
We're heading there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're not going to be able to do anything because there's going to be so many onlookers watching what we're doing, and we have to wait for approval or disapproval.
Yeah, it is. It's very Orwellian, and it is. But it's beyond that. And yeah, the thing that is so discouraging, although you're seeing some pushback, but the thing that's so discouraging about this is the number of people that are fine with it, and just fall into line. And there are even people out there that if you don't fall into line, they get angry at you. That don't you know you're supposed to be 6 feet apart and wearing a mask, whether you're inside or outside. And look, I understand, the safety protocols, and I'm not knocking all of it. But you got people out there that, go crazy and want to control the behavior that our current governor, for example, says is the right way to behave. And if you don't, they're going to come after you.
Well, let's go down a different note. What is our DOJ doing? How come we have all these people on video with boxes coming out from tables? How come nobody's been arrested or convicted? How come is it all being allowed to be done?
It's called selective outrage. Really? Yeah. By the way, speaking of that, good call there. Appreciate the call. Speaking of that, there is a new book that is coming out by Molly Hemingway. And this sounds like a must-read. I'd love to try to get Molly on. You've seen her on Fox News. She's a lot of time part of the All-Star panel. And, it used to be Charles Krauthammer was the one you'd really respect and, had the marvelous insights. Molly Hemingway is the one now that you that I respect. Fox News has lost a lot of credibility, but Molly Hemingway is strong. She is also the editor of The Federalist. She's coming out with a new book, which is really going into detail, really looking behind the scenes concerning the 2020 election. She makes some great points that going back to 1998, every election that the Democrats lost, they thought it was crooked. They were highly objectionable when George H.W. Bush beat Al Gore. Remember, they never thought he was a legitimate winner. Hillary Clinton, she came out in 2019, 2 years after the election, and said, you can run the best campaign, you can even become the nominee, you can have the election stole from you. That's what she told her followers in 2019. So, you look at all the elections they lost, and they questioned every one of them. But in 2020, when that came up, everything's fine. No problem there. What are you talking about? You conservatives, you conspiracy theory nuts. No, there's nothing wrong. What are you talking about? And our caller was right. The DOJ just sort of shrugs his shoulder and looks the other way. No, there's nothing there to say. 561-8255. Let's go to Wayne. Hey, Wayne, how are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. I wanted to make 3 quick points that contemplated for a long time. One is H.R. 1. I'd say just go ahead, let it pass. Why not? All we have to do, the rules are made for both sides. All we have to do is out-cheat them.
Yeah.
Point number 2.
All right, out-cheat them.
Point number 2, Biden. Why is everybody going after him? I hear all the conservative talk shows going after Biden. I say use your time and resources to go after Kamala Harris, because Biden's going to be in charge of his own demise. So why waste resources on him? And now, liberals in general, I had to figure this out and contemplated it for a long time. There's a lot of smart people in California, New York, New Jersey that are liberals in schools and business and everything else. What are they lacking? And there's just 2 things, logic and common sense. That's the only way I can explain liberalism. Okay, your turn, go.
Well, Sadie has always said liberalism is a mental disease, and I tend to agree with that.
That's been said before.
Your point 3, say that again for me. I sort of lost you there. On the
Liberals?
Liberals up in the Northeast you were talking about.
Oh, anywhere the liberals anywhere that are smart people, there's plenty of those. I just can't figure them out. They just lack logic and common sense.
Oh, okay.
In voting. That's the key.
Yeah,
They're smart, though.
And unfortunately, they ruin a state. They leave the state, and then they go find another state to ruin. That's the problem.
That's common knowledge. Yeah, that's common knowledge too. But those 3 points, I said, it just why go after Biden and also HR 1? The rules are made for everybody. We just out cheat them. That's all.
Well, first of all, yeah, but
I don't care.
Well, I understand what you're saying, and I understand that you're partly tongue in cheek. But I have got to say that, first of all, H.R. 1 is highly unconstitutional. So, we can't go there. We are ruled by law. We're ruled by the Constitution. And, I would like to think that, at least for myself, who I'm still a Republican. I'm really I don't bleed Republican. I bleed conservative. But
right.
I don't want to cheat. I mean, there's a right way and a wrong way to do that. I want to be able to look at myself in the mirror and say, hey, we won legitimately. I understand your frustration. There's 2 sets of rules. Conservatives play by one set and the liberals play by another. Well, the liberals don't have any rules.
We use the Constitution. They don't.
Right.
That's where we're going off. We're going awry here with that.
Yeah, for sure.
So those are my 3 points.
Well, the Biden issue, we haven't talked about it in a while, but you're right. Joe Biden, well, first of all, Joe Biden's not making these decisions. Joe Biden is just the puppet that somebody's pulling the strings. And,
right. So why go after him?
But to be honest with you, I don't think Kamala has got a whole lot going for her either. I mean, she's young. I don't think she's senile. She doesn't have dementia yet, but somebody will pull her strings as well.
But to go after her with all her other baggage, and then then we just of course get rid of Pelosi in 2 years. So then we're done.
Well, I hope we get rid of Pelosi, and the question is, will we have a fair election next time? I think
will do anything.
If we have a fair election next time, I think you'll see. Even though it's a long way away, I mean. November of 2022, it might as well be 10 years away because, in political time, it's a long way. But right now, if things continue to go like they're going, I mean, there's so much bad news. I mean, I'm sorry, but I can't say with all authority and insight that we wouldn't have had this pipeline issue under Donald Trump. But I would tell you this, that I think the reason why it happened and the reason, if it was Russian hackers that went after them, the reason why they did it, and I'd say they wouldn't have done it under Donald Trump, is because they know that they can get away with it under Joe Biden. And it's the same situation over in Israel right now. Hamas is just, sending hundreds of rockets into Jerusalem. And Jerusalem is now fighting back, and they're basically knocking Hamas on their fannies. But they would not have done this with Donald Trump in the White House.
Yeah, and the Keystone Pipeline would be open, too.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
The current situation is exacerbating the situation.
Absolutely.
So we'd be in much better shape. And tax on the economy is nothing but oil. It's like interest rates going up. Everybody's got to pay it to move.
Yep.
So, if that happens, you're going to sink the economy.
Absolutely.
I mean, it makes no logic and common sense.
Wayne, great to hear from you. Great comments, great questions. I like your 3 points. We got to take a time out. My producer's going crazy. Stay with us. Love to hear from you. 561-8255. We'll be right back.
Break the chain. Eat local. Tiebreakers.
Hey, this is Hank Hinton back here at Full Service Flooring in Winterville. I'm here today with Corey Little, who's the operations manager here at Full Service Flooring. Corey's been here 6 months, but you've been in construction a long time. Tell us about what you do here at Full Service Flooring.
Yeah, I got over here about 6 months ago. I've been in construction for, like I said, a little over 20 years, and I've known Tim for a long time now, and he's brought me over here to see what new kind of things I can bring to the store and to our customers. And I'm in charge of scheduling and I don't know what else. I'm in charge of everything. It seems like we work together as a team and try to pull it all together. I might do a measure one day and do a commercial floor the next day, but we just kind of all work together and pull it all together at one time.
So what's new in flooring? What is the hot new thing?
The hot new thing is LVP or LVT, depending on what you're looking for, which look you're looking for. It's a waterproof product. It's absolutely fantastic. You can't really beat it.
A lot cheaper than hardwoods?
It is definitely a cost-effective alternative to hardwoods, yes, sir.
So, Corey, how is business right now?
And business is good. Despite the pandemic, we're still seeing a lot of new customers in the store, and we get an opportunity to introduce our products in a lot of different situations right now.
Corey, you've got a lot of experience in the construction industry. How is that helping you here with people, helping people with flooring here at Full Service Flooring?
Sure. I try to take the experiences that I've gained over my time in construction to help apply that to the flooring, whether it be with what the structure is made out of, the subfloor that we're going over top of, or maybe even just how it coordinates with your kitchen cabinets in construction or in your bathroom and how the tub and everything all ties together.
And a customer can just come here and see you anytime?
Absolutely. We're here 6 days a week, and we just love to see a new customer in here anytime. They can always call us and schedule something with us so that we can make sure we have our time allotted for them.
Corey, thank you so much. That's Corey Little here at Full Service Flooring. Come see these guys. They're on Tilco Drive in Winterville, 756-9308 and fullserviceflooring.com.
In North Carolina, we get up before the sun rises and stay up into the wee hours of the night. We believe in working hard and playing harder. Behind every meal, there's a farmer, and behind every farmer, there's got to be NC, the official state identity program for North Carolina agricultural products. Look for the Got to Be NC logo wherever you shop or eat, and you'll know you're getting a quality product grown, raised, caught, or made in North Carolina.
This is your Drive at 5 and ENC with Tom Lamprecht. Welcome back to News and Views on Talk 96.3 and 103.7.
By the way, News and Views is now on YouTube. If you want to subscribe to our program, you can get the video and the audio. Go to youtube.com and in the search box, put in ENC News and Views. Spell it out, ENC News and Views. And you can subscribe every day to your device. We'll download a new edition of News and Views. Talking about the lap dogs, talking about the Biden administration demanding that reporters get approval before they can quote an individual. I take back that the mainstream media has just laid down and agreed to this. This just in. The Associated Press and the New York Times said they have pushed back on the use of, quote, approval. The goal behind conducting interviews on background, according to multiple outlets, is to eventually negotiate using some of the quotes on record. It's absolutely unconscionable that the White House or any other political figure would say they have to have a direct say in what's written or how it's written. I mean, it really does sound like Pravda or something. The goal of the media is to be a watchdog for the American people when things like, quote, approval take place. Confidence in the media, although it's already low, plummeted even further. I don't think a whole lot of people look at the New York Times as the great defense for the Constitution and the American people. Not going to happen. The Daily Wire is reporting on a Texas farmer and his wife on Mother's Day. This farmer went out, he's right on the Rio Grande, went out on his property, found 5 little girls, ages 7, 3, 2, and 11 months, and two of them were 3 years old, apparently, by themselves, no adults. One didn't even have any clothes on. Hot sun. The farmer and his wife and some helpers on the farm got the little girls in the shade, got them food, got them clothes, called the authorities. This is what the farmer, it was Jimmy and Katie Hobbs, this is their message for President Biden.
Once again, Tony Gonzalez, Texas 23. We're here at the border. This family just found 5 small, innocent baby girls dumped at their property. Thankfully, they were safe. If you could tell President Biden anything, what would you tell him?
Talk about how the United States is a humane country. This is not humane anymore. And it's all started under his deal. So he needs to either come down here and look at this himself or change it back like it was. It was working.
Change it back under Trump's administration. For the first time in 30 years, we felt secure here. It was working and working well. Let's stay in Mexico. A lot of people are going to die this summer when we're going to be witness to it.
They've got it right. Katie and Jimmy Hobbs, we're supposed to be humanitarian. We're supposed to be helping these people. They're not helping. Hey, if you're looking on Facebook or on Cable 7 or YouTube, there's a picture of the little girls as Jimmy Hobbs, who's in his 70s, found them. This is unconscionable that the Biden administration continues to put forth. First of all, our vice president does nothing related to the crisis on the border. But they're right. You want to paint yourself as these humanitarian, caring president and vice president, the whole Democratic Party. No, it's all about how can we benefit from having a bunch of illegals in our country. And you're looking at staying in power. That's your main concern, staying in power. And if by the way, if you thought that these people would vote conservative or you thought these people would vote for Republicans, you would no more let them in the country than you could fly to the moon. But there's nothing humanitarian about what you're doing. 5 little girls. I mean, one day they ought to look back and thank the good Lord that the Hobbs family found them and brought them in and took care of them. Otherwise, they would have perished in the hot Texas sun. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Anything could happen ever since I met you.
Introducing Pepsi Mango.
Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport.
Turn that old vehicle into cash when you cash in your trade-in at Greenville Toyota. Get up to 125% of book value for your vehicle, even if you don't buy from us. Trade for Camry, $189 a month. Now at Greenville Toyota.
Sawyer's Fun Park in Winterville is now open. With over 40,000 square feet of family fun, daily money-saving deals, and a full-service restaurant, Sawyer's Fun Park is guaranteed to have something the whole family will love. Test your ninja skills on our 2-story obstacle course or head over to one of our 5 rock walls and race your friends to the top. And when you've worked up an appetite in our laser tag arena or our one-of-a-kind ropes course, grab a table over at the restaurant and try our world-famous Southern Monster Fries. Reserve your spot today at SawyersFunPark.com and come join in on the fun.
My name is Dr. Neeti Armistead, Chief Medical Officer for Widened Health. The following simple steps will help keep you and your community safe. Stay home as much as possible, wear a mask when out in public, avoid large gatherings, practice social distancing, and wash hands often. It's also important not to delay needed care. Widened has taken important steps to provide you and your family with a safe environment. Learn more about COVID-19 and Widened's response. Call 252-847-8000 or visit widenedhealth.com/COVID-19.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Cash in your trade-in now at Greenville Toyota. We need your vehicle, and it's never been worth more. Get cash for your vehicle today. Up to 125% of book value. Then trade into a new Corolla, $159 a month. Now at Greenville Toyota.
This one's for everyone who spends the amount of time it would take to watch a movie, agreeing on which movie to watch. You've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar.
Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt.
governor on down to the city council. We've got your updates on all things COVID and more.
For the latest on the outbreak
on Talk 96.3 and 103.7. Now, back to news and views.
Well, that genius mayor of New York City, Bill de Blasio, people are leaving his city left and right. The tax base is down, and crime is up. Wow, that's a shocker. Yeah, so there's shootings over the weekend, and apparently, they would like to see some tourism come to New York City, although it's a ghost town now, apparently. Well, the genius has finally figured it out. A year ago, he was all about defunding the police. Remember, he and the likes of Al Sharpton and others actually went out in the streets and painted Black Lives Matter and defund the police on the streets. Well, he just has proposed that we will spend an extra $105 million for a new police precinct and the hiring of new police officers.
Well, isn't that special?
Yeah. I mean, you could have predicted, a 3-year-old could have predicted this. But that genius, Bill de Blasio, finally figured it out. I mean, basically, his heart probably isn't in it, but he sees everybody leaving. He reads the polling. Look, African Americans overwhelmingly want police protection. Overwhelmingly. New York Times has got an interesting piece. Don't have time to go into detail, but talking about how this Congress is so close. That is very much, and look at how old the members of the Democratic Party are. New York Times goes out and asks the question, could we see a change in power based upon, at least in the Senate, based upon the loss of life? Talking about the number of senators who have died in office, could it happen over the next 2 years? New York Times says it's entirely possible. Hey, we've got to run. Thanks for the calls. Thanks for listening. We'll do it again tomorrow at 5 o'clock. We'll see you then. Bye-bye, everybody.
All right.
Turn that old vehicle into cash when you cash in your trade-in at Greenville Toyota. Get up to 125% of book value for your vehicle, even if you don't buy from us. Trade for Camry, $189 a month. Now at Greenville Toyota.
In North Carolina, we get up before the sun rises and stay up into the wee hours of the night. We believe in working hard and playing harder. Behind every meal, there's a farmer, and behind every farmer, there's got to be NC, the official state identity program for North Carolina agricultural products. Look for the Got to Be NC logo wherever you shop or eat, and you'll know you're getting a quality product grown, raised, caught, or made in North Carolina.
We're on location at Fabric and Home Furnishings, and I'm back with my friend Lisa Pendry. And Lisa's been telling me about all the great renovations that have been going on here in the store, and I've been looking around, and it looks fantastic. Tell us what you've done here.
Well, we've knocked some walls down, we've painted, we've added some new vendors, lots of new exciting things going on. So we're making room for everybody to get what they need to transform their homes.
Looks fantastic in here. Last time we talked, you were saying that you were able to deliver a lot faster than most other furniture stores. Is that still the case?
It is. It's changed a little bit, but we're still looking at around 8 to 10 week delivery, and we do sell our floor samples right off the floor.
All right, we always say that Fabric and Home Furnishings is more than just a fabric store, so tell us what the more is all about. What when people come in, what should they expect?
Well, we love to get to know our customers. I have the best crew I've ever had, and everybody on my team is an interior designer. So we offer in-home design service, which we always have, but now they can each come out to your home after they work with you in here, figure out what's going on in your residence or your commercial property to pull it together and help you make everything beautiful.
You got great folks here.
I do.
I can tell you, I haven't gotten to know them. It's like a family when you come in here, and everybody gets along well, and you can tell that these guys and gals really know what they're talking about when it comes to interior design.
They do, and that's really what makes us different. We offer complete in-home design service. We don't charge a by-the-hour fee. It's a flat one-time fee. We work with you in here. in your home, in your business, and help pull everything together.
All right, it's more than just a fabric store. Fabric and Home Furnishings in Arlington Village. Come see this lady. She's fantastic. Fabric and Home Furnishings. Come see the renovations here in Arlington Village. And thank you for the visit today.
Thank you, Henry.
All right, you got to come see what they've done in the store here on Arlington Boulevard in Arlington Village.
Cash in your trade-in now at Greenville Toyota. We need your vehicle, and it's never been worth more. Get cash for your vehicle today, up to 125% of book value. Then trade into a new Corolla, $159 a month. Now at Greenville Toyota.